Today's lesson is called Pardon My French, Day 1. Hi everyone, my name is Jeff.
I'm Roger. Today is our English lesson, but we're talking about things that come from France. Although they may or may not actually come from France, these are some French expressions, or rather expressions that use the word French in the English language. And we're going to talk about various things like French fries, French dressing, French vanilla, French doors, etc., etc.
There you go, folks. Today we're talking about French things that might or might not actually be French. How confusing, right? Well, don't worry. We're going to have a whole lot of fun, I guarantee it. Now, the first bit of fun is we're going to talk about this phrase, pardon my French. Okay? If someone says, pardon my French in English, they've not just said something French for the most part. This is kind of a funny phrase that people use when they're saying, oh, I'm sorry for using bad language. Now, why is it that people say this after saying a bad word in English? I'm not exactly sure, but it sure is funny because I'm pretty sure none of the bad words, or most of the bad words, I don't think they come from French at all. So there you have it. There's some fun to start things off. When someone says, pardon my French, they're saying, oh, excuse me for my bad language. Ha, ha, ha. How funny. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a short break right now. But when we come back, we'll begin our lesson called Pardon My French, wherein we will talk about French things that might or might not actually be French. How about that? Okay, folks, let's go ahead and take a break.
Pardon my French. You may have noticed the curious English phenomenon of describing various things as French. Some common examples include French fries, French vanilla, and French doors. But how many of these things actually have French roots? Let's explore a few examples.
Okay, everybody, it's time now for us to discuss the first part of our lesson. We should mention that French is the adjective. Something from France or a person from France would be described as French. I am French, for example. You might hear someone say if they're from Paris or something like that. Whereas the country is France, F-R-A-N-C-E, France. I'm from France, therefore I am French. They wouldn't say it in English, of course. I understand the French hate to speak English, so you'd probably hear them saying that in Francais. But in any case, let's talk about the first part of our lesson. Here it says, you may have noticed the curious English phenomenon of describing various things as French. So yes, you are students of English as a second language or maybe a third language, and therefore you've kind of been curious. Why do Americans and British and Australian people keep referring to French things? So yes, you may have noticed this. It's a curious phenomenon. It's kind of unusual.
Kind of unusual, kind of interesting. It's a curious phenomenon that might be somewhat difficult to understand. Yes, today we're talking about French things, so-called French things that might not actually be totally French. By the way, yes, the word French is an adjective describing a person from France or something that comes from France or something like that, but it's also the language that French people speak. French people speak French, or if you want to be fancy and not call it French, the language that is, you can say Francais, just like Roger said earlier there. Anyways, let's go ahead and start learning about some of these dubious or possibly dubious French things. Some common examples, our article continues, some common examples include French fries, French vanilla, and French doors. So there you have it. We've got French fries, French vanilla, and French doors. Do French fries come from France? Maybe, maybe not. Does French vanilla come from France? Maybe, maybe not. I know vanilla does not come from France, but maybe French vanilla is a style of vanilla or something like that created by the French. We don't know quite yet. And we also have French doors. Again, maybe here the origins are unclear. Maybe these doors did originate in France, or maybe they did not. Anyways, though, before we move on, let's talk about vanilla. Okay, vanilla is a spice that comes from exotic places. I believe there are only a few places where vanilla can be grown. It's super exotic as far as the spice is concerned. What's funny, though, is that vanilla, okay, has come to describe things that are bland and common and boring and pretty much ordinary, totally ordinary. Yeah, vanilla is the spice that's responsible for the taste or the flavor of vanilla ice cream, that plain white ice cream that's everywhere, okay? But this is kind of funny. Remember, vanilla is an exotic spice, but it's come to represent kind of the basic form of ice cream, that basic white ice cream that everyone knows and loves. And for that reason, yeah, when people talk about vanilla people or vanilla things, they're talking about things that are common and ordinary and simple, like vanilla ice cream. But this is funny. Remember, vanilla comes from like Madagascar, I believe. It's a very exotic spice from a very exotic place that now refers to boring stuff like plain white ice cream.
Indeed. So when I was a kid, of course, we lived out in the country and there were no exotic ice cream shops like Baskin-Robbins or Howard Johnson's or Haagen-Dazs. So when we wanted to have ice cream, we had to settle between vanilla and chocolate. So vanilla, of course, is a flavoring used in ice cream and other things. I believe maybe about 10 years ago, you could buy vanilla Coca-Cola in some locations. So indeed, that's what vanilla is, but we're going to ask this question here, but how many of these things actually have French roots? In other words, how many of these things actually come from France? Let's explore a few examples that we have for you today. The first one is French dressing, so let's find out about that right now.
French dressing. French dressing does have some origins in France, as it originally referred to the oil and vinegar dressings that people in France would eat. Since the 20th century, however, it has become synonymous with the thoroughly Americanized and creamy orange red sauce that bears its name. French fries. There is ongoing debate about whether French fries come from Belgium or France, with both nations claiming the food. However, we do know the fried potato sticks were given the French name by American soldiers who discovered the food in Belgium during World War I. They used French rather than Belgian, since French was the main language they encountered. The fried potatoes then traveled to the United States, where thin-style fries were developed and popularized by fast food restaurants.
大家好，今天第一个单字我们看到的是 dressing， 这个字当作名词，代表调味料、酱汁的意思。例如 I asked the waiter to give me the Italian dressing so that I can add some to my salad. 我向服务生要了意式沙拉酱，这样我就可以加一些在我的沙拉里。下一个我们看到的单字是 thoroughly， 这个字当作副词，它有完全的或是彻底详细的意思，所以我们可以说 Jasper was thoroughly unhappy after his girlfriend left him. Jasper 在女友离开他后非常不开心。此外，这个字删掉字尾 ly 后，就会变成形容词 thorough， 表达彻底的或是完全的意思。来看个例句。The police did a thorough investigation of the crime scene, but still found nothing. 警察对犯罪现场进行彻底的调查，但仍然一无所获。再来，我们看到的单字是 ongoing， 这个字当作形容词，代表持续存在的或是进行中的意思。例如 Carla and Melinda have had an ongoing dispute ever since college. Carla 和 Melinda 从大学时代就一直不和睦。接下来，我们看到的单字是 encounter。这个字当作动词，它有遭遇、经历或是偶然碰见的意思。例如 Mason 的想法在董事会会议上遭到反对。英文可以这么说 Mason encountered resistance to his idea at the board meeting. 顺便补充一下，这个字去掉字首 en 后，就会变成我们常说的柜台 counter。那我们就可以说，如果你有任何问题，到前面柜台，那里的人应该可以帮你。英文可以这么说If you have any problems, go up to the front counter and someone there should be able to help you. 下一个我们看到的单词是 popularize， 这个字当作动词，代表使受喜爱、欢迎或是使普及的意思。所以我们可以说 Bruce Lee popularized kung fu movies in America. 李小龙让功夫电影在美国大受欢迎。除此之外，这个字的形容词形态是 popular。popular 常用来指受欢迎的或是普遍的。 那就可以说 That video game was popular many years ago. 那款电玩在多年前很受欢迎。
Okay, before the break, we learned about vanilla. Okay, vanilla, it's a flavor. It comes from an exotic spice, but nowadays, vanilla, when you call something vanilla, you're kind of saying that thing is ordinary and boring, okay? Now, let's talk about some more flavoring, okay? Sometimes when you have a salad, you think that salad is bland. It might not have any flavor at all. You wouldn't call that salad vanilla, let's say, but you would say, hey, we need to add some flavor to these pieces of romaine lettuce or iceberg lettuce. We need something to make this taste good. We need to add something like a sauce to the salad to make it taste good. And if that's the case, you're going to want to add some dressing to that salad. Yes, dressing is kind of like a sauce, okay? It's kind of like a sauce that you add to salads to make those salads taste better. Very simply here, dressing is similar to a sauce, though you would not call dressing a sauce for the most part. It's similar to a sauce that you add to salad so as to give this salad flavor. No one wants to eat a bowl of greens, a bowl full of lettuce that tastes, well, it doesn't taste terrible, but it usually just doesn't taste like anything at all. So you add some dressing to that salad to give it flavor. And if you're feeling French, you might add French dressing to that salad. But Roger, here's the thing. I get the feeling that French dressing might not be all that French.
I suspected that when I was a kid. Of course, when my mother prepared dinners for us when I was a kid, we'd often have salad with those meals. And of course, you could choose from maybe 4 or 5 different flavors of dressing. There was French dressing, there was Thousand Island blue cheese, Italian dressing, and maybe some other ones I'm not quite sure. Ranch came in later.
There you go, yeah.
That's kind of later. But in any case here, French dressing, I did also want to say that we don't call it sauce. Okay, if you're talking about the stuff that goes on your salad, it's called dressing. I would like some French dressing, for example. So here, French dressing does not have, or does have some origins in France, I should say. It does have a little bit of an origin in France, as it originally referred to the oil and vinegar dressings that people in France would eat. Oil and vinegar. To me, that sounds very close to Italian-style dressing, at least the Italian-style dressing that I had when I was a kid. But yes, indeed, this salad dressing, which came from France, actually had as its ingredients oil and vinegar.
Oil and vinegar. And that's it? That does not sound like the French dressing that I ate when I was growing up as a kid, okay? And yes, get this, since the 20th century, however, French dressing, has become synonymous with the thoroughly Americanized and creamy orange-red sauce that bears its name. Yes, in America, French dressing is not oil and vinegar. In fact, if you go to a restaurant in the United States and they ask you what dressing you want, you can ask for oil and vinegar, and they will bring you oil and vinegar. You can add that to your salad. If you ask for French dressing, though, you are going to get a creamy orange-red sauce, okay? And that will be your French dressing, okay? Again, dressing is kind of like a sauce, but when you're putting that sauce on a salad, you call that sauce dressing. Anyways, we've got a lot to talk about in this sentence. First of all, it says here that French dressing has become synonymous with something. Okay, the word synonymous means indistinguishable from. Now, to unload this or to unpack this a little bit, okay, in America, people see French dressing as being that creamy orange-red sauce, okay? They see French dressing as being this sauce and not as the oil and vinegar sauce. It's actually French dressing, okay? That's what the French would eat in France when they're having a salad with so-called French dressing. Now, we also have this word thoroughly to talk about. This one's easy. The word thoroughly means completely in a very detailed way. Then we also have the word creamy. I've said this word about 10 times thus far. Yes, Americanized or American-style French dressing is a creamy orange-red sauce or dressing. What does creamy mean, though? The word creamy means thick. It means thick and kind of made of milk or cream, or it kind of has the consistency, the heavy, thick consistency of cream. That's why you would call it creamy. Then it says here that this creamy orange-red sauce bears the name French dressing or bears this name, okay? What we're saying here is that this thing, okay, this thing has this name or is identified in this way, even though it's not really the real thing. This is an Americanized version of French dressing. Americans have called it French, even though if you were in France, you wouldn't eat French dressing. This French dressing, you'd probably put oil and vinegar on your salad.
Yeah, for example, I could say the Carson Company bears the name of its founder, Johnny Carson, if there is indeed a Carson Company named after him. But in any case, yes, it bears the name of that American name, which is, of course, French dressing. And, of course, if you were in France and asked for French dressing, you certainly would get a blank stare from them. What are you talking about? We don't have that. We have oil and vinegar here. Okay, let's move on now and talk about French fries. There is ongoing debate about whether French fries come from Belgium or France, with both nations claiming the food. So it's an ongoing debate. It's continuous. Nobody's really come to any conclusions. Where do French fries come from? Do they come from Belgium or do they come from France? They might come from Belgium because a large area of Belgium is French-speaking, so maybe they come from there, or maybe they actually come from France itself.
There you go. There's ongoing debate. This debate is still going on. Apparently people are still fighting about this. How about that? Anyways, however, we do know the fried potato sticks were given the French name by American soldiers who discovered the food in Belgium during World War I. So this is getting confusing. French dressing isn't French. Americans gave it that label, even though French dressing does not look like the dressing that people in France commonly apply to their salads. And here, French fries were discovered by Americans in Belgium, but gave these things the name French fries because I don't know. And apparently that's what we learn next. These soldiers during World War I, they used the term French. They used French rather than Belgian, since French was the main language they encountered. So they were in Belgium, they heard French, and they said, hey, we're in France, and what we're eating must be French fries then, when in fact they were actually eating Belgian French fries, but they still called them French fries.
And also we have the word encounter here, which kind of means to find, right?
There you go. You kind of find that thing, or you kind of bump into that thing, or make contact with that thing in an unexpected way or unplanned way. Now more, the fried potatoes then traveled to the United States, where thin-style fries were developed and popularized by fast food restaurants. Yes, they were popularized by fast food restaurants, or they were made famous or well-known by these fast food restaurants. Anyways, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be talking about French vanilla.
French vanilla. The vanilla bean is native to Mexico, but it was brought to Europe in the early 1600s. By the 18th century, it was being used to flavor ice cream in France. This dessert eventually became known as French vanilla ice cream. Now, however, the term French vanilla describes the flavoring of anything with a specifically rich, creamy profile.
今天最后一个单字，我们看到的是 profile。这个字当作名词，它有人或事物速写、简介或是轮廓的意思。例如 The police tried to create a profile of what the criminal might be like. 警察试着写下罪犯的人物速写。
Okay, French vanilla. What the heck is that? Let's talk about this now. The vanilla bean is native to Mexico, but it was brought to Europe in the early 1600s. So that's where vanilla beans come from. They come from Mexico. It's native to Mexico, which means that is the place it grew originally. They probably grow it in other parts of the world now as well, but the first vanilla plants, the first vanilla beans were harvested in good old Mexico. But then it was brought to Europe in the early 1600s, and by the 18th century, which would be the 1700s, it was being used to flavor ice cream in France. So yes, the French got a hold of it. Wow, what are these vanilla beans? Let's put it in ice cream. Ice cream is kind of boring. It's just cream-flavored, cold stuff. So if we put some vanilla in there, it might give it some extra pizzazz.
There you go. So the bean is native to Mexico, a tropical exotic place, and it's also grown apparently in Madagascar and places like that. But yes, this dessert, okay, it was first of all vanilla, was used to flavor ice cream in France, and this dessert eventually became known as French vanilla ice cream. Now, however, the term French vanilla describes the flavoring of anything with a specifically rich, creamy profile. How about that? Now, here we've got the word profile to talk about. Here, a profile is something, okay, like a texture, let's say, as far as food is concerned, or a flavor as far as food is concerned, that tells you kind of everything you need to know about that thing in a simple way. If I did feel like complicating things, I could say that a profile is not unlike a characterization of something. But here, when I think about profile in terms of food, I think about, yes, when I eat that, what is the flavor profile? What does that flavor tell me about this food? How do I represent this thing? What is its profile?
Yeah, what is its characteristic? How is it different from other kinds of food? So it's got this creamy texture, this creamy profile. And, of course, when we talk about French vanilla ice cream, of course, we're talking about some kind of ice cream that has this sort of characteristic, this profile. Profile could also, of course, be a description of yourself and a picture of yourself on one of your social media pages like Facebook, your Facebook profile, etc. A profile could also be the appearance of a person from the side. Okay, let me see you in profile. In other words, let me see you from the side, etc. But here, profile is referring more to its kind of a uniqueness.
There you go. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to wrap up today's program. But don't go away. The Chinese teacher is waiting in the wings.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天文法重点。课文第二部分介绍到法式沙拉酱 French dressing 这个名称的起源。那这边有一个句子是 Since the 20th century, however, it has become synonymous with the thoroughly Americanized and creamy orange red sauce that bears its name. 然而自从20世纪它已经成为彻底美国化的橘红色浓郁酱汁的同义词，称为法式沙拉酱。好，当我们说 bear one's name 就表示以某人某事物来命名，你也可以把它写作 bear the name of somebody。 好，那其中这个 bear 它就可以用来表达具有什么，像具有某个名字或头衔等等。另外要介绍一个补充单字是 synonymous， 它是形容同性质的或是同义的，也就是字的意思一样，那个同义。我们常常用 synonymous 加上 with 加名词，表示与什么什么同义。例如 The fashion brand is synonymous with luxury. 这个时尚品牌可以跟奢华来画上等号。那我们来看看 synonymous 这个字的字首字根，它的字首 syn 表示一起或者是同时，那通常带有这个字首的字都会有相同啊对等的语义。至于字根 onym 这部分它表示字或是名字。好，那把这两部分组合在一起变成 synonym 它表示同义字。好，那接着你就在后面加上形容词字尾 ous 表示有什么什么特质的，那你就会得到 synonymous 这个字了。好，那反义字要怎么说呢？其实你只要把字首 syn 改成 ant 就可以了。这个字首 ant 它是 antint 的变形，表示相反的。好，然后你再搭配 onym 这个字根，就会变成 antonym antonym 就表示反义字。好，接着课文介绍到 French fries 薯条的由来，他有说到 There is ongoing debate about whether French fries come from Belgium or France, with both nations claiming the food. 薯条究竟源自于比利时或者是法国，始终争辩不休，那双方都宣称拥有这种食物。句尾的 with both nations claiming the food 它是用到 with 加受词加受词补语的句型，那我们先前有提到这是用来附带说明主要子句的状态，那由于它的受词跟受词补语是主动关系，所以才会用现在分词 claiming 来当受词补语。好，课文这个句子它还有用到 whether 引导名词子句来表达是否怎么样。 Whether 引导的名词子句在句中可以当主词、受词或是补语来用，而且 whether 常常会搭配 or 一起使用。例如 Whether we go hiking tomorrow or not depends on the weather. 我们明天是否会去健行，这要取决于天气。那句中的名词子句 Whether we go hiking tomorrow or not 是当主词，后面搭配单数动词 depends。再造个例句The question is whether Billy can get there in time. 问题在于 Billy 他是否能够及时赶到那里。那句子里面的名词子句 whether Billy can get there in time 就是当主词补语来用。好，那以上是今天的重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Dressing. The waiter added ground cheese and Caesar dressing to my salad. Thoroughly. We thoroughly cleaned the apartment last week. Ongoing. There is ongoing discussion about where we should go for the holidays. Encounter. Benjamin encountered many animals while on his camping trip. Popularize. Several classic fairy tales were first popularized by the Brothers Grimm. Profile. Your Facebook profile contains personal information about you.
Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.